5 minutes of me.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna keep letting people in right now because they like to come in, show up a little bit late. It happens. Just to make a quick introduction with, because we have a lot of new guys on here that haven't been on these workshops before, but this primarily it was built for our hitters. It's slowly kind of evolving into maybe more than that. I would like to, and last week we did touch on the mental skills aspect just a little bit, and Phil kind of got in depth, kind of building off of the workshop with Billington Pacific University up has built for us. There he is. Hey, Brian. And, so Phil's been a really good asset for us, kind of tying all this stuff together, tying the mental skills side to the hitting side. And so really we kind of make a transition to the entire game as a whole, and not just maybe focusing on hitting only from here on out. I don't know, we kind of see how this evolves. We just want to offer something good for the guys, the players that we have in our program. I've invited, other coaches outside of the program to get in. I know Coach Danny Pamaran, who's with us down in San Diego today as well. We generally have our coaches from Central Florida on here with us usually. I don't know if they're going to be on today, but they usually are on with us. And then we have our coaching staff from El Paso that might get on. I'm not sure if they're going to be on, but they might get on. They said they may be here. But I do want to get started with the mental skills aspect. I touched on it a little bit. So I want to introduce you guys to Mario Soto. Mario, thank you for being with us. He's a sports technologist, with and law enforcement as well. So thanks again, Mario. I appreciate your time.
Oh, are you kidding me? This is always fun to be a part of a larger audience, and good to see familiar faces. Phil, I haven't seen you in a while. God bless you. How are you, my friend? Tim,
hey,
good to see you.
Good to see you, Mario.
Really good group. Listen, I've when Joe and I were talking, he ringed in. I just finished doing a workshop with firefighters, and I think one of the things that I love about what we might be doing here, and I'm hoping it organically grows into this, is the opportunity to maybe use this as a collaboration of baseball minds where we can all feed off of each other. I don't think we have enough of these groups, if you will. Yeah, everyone tries to be more secretive, and I want to hold on to this, and it's mine, and I don't want to share, or I want to share it just with this little extension of my brotherhood. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice. And so, the last 2 weeks, my phone has been ringing off the hook with baseball players who are worried about what's happening. Coach, I didn't get drafted. What do I do? Coach, do I transfer because they're going to let the fifth-year seniors come in, and they're going to have a roster of 650 kids. And we're only losing one pitcher. Where do I do? What do I go? So there's a lot of uncertainty, certainly in the world, but definitely in the sports world. And so as it pertains to us and how in our role and the influence we have in this sport that we love, I really think we need to just take a step back. And as I was telling Joe, if the kids are going to get a chance to get some of the rust off this weekend and play, we want to remind them of what it is that they love about the sport of baseball. It isn't about go get a win. It isn't about anything more than, let's appreciate what in the world we get to finally do, even if it's for just this weekend. Because right now we're not sure what might happen next weekend. We may end up being forced to shut it all down again, God forbid, but that's a reality. So let's remind ourselves first, then let's remind the parents, and let's remind the players of why we do this, of what they should be focusing on doing, and that we need to celebrate the fact that we get out of the house and we get to breathe some air, and we get to go play, and we get to go fail, and we get to get dirty. And and just, let's try that experiment and play that experiment through, just to at least to give the kids a realistic expectation. Because as one of my calls this morning was about, and it was from a college baseball player, he's kind of a perfectionist and he tends to be his own worst enemy. And the last thing we want is for these kids to be their own worst enemy this weekend when, they haven't really played organized ball in 2 months, 3 months. So I think it's real critical for us to remind ourselves of what our role is in the bigger scheme and the larger scheme of this game and our influence as mentors and coaches. And then if we've got players on, I'm hoping we have some players on. I'm hoping we can remind them, hey, come out and just go hard. Run a hard 90. Do the little things that we always taught, that we teach you and remind you of doing as coaches. And let's see if we can work on one thing called being resilient. Resilience, to me, and certainly in relative to baseball, is about being able to recover from your mistake. So as my old mentor would say, hey, let's see you go out there and let's see you make mistakes. I don't know what happened to my screen. But let's see you go out there and make a mistake and make a big one. And then let's see how quickly you can recover from it. That, to me, if you can do that and you can understand what you did and how you grew from it, then that makes this weekend a really solid weekend. Don't focus on stats. Don't focus on scouts coming in to see you. Because what do we got 13 and 14-year-olds, Joe? Is that correct?
This weekend, yeah.
Yeah. Listen, you're not going to get scouted. So let's just play. Let's work slowly but surely to get back into the feel of the sport. And geez, let's celebrate the fact that we get a chance to, go out and let's just, let's get sweaty. Let's get dirty. And let's see what the new baseline, what the new normal is going to be. I think that's probably as important for parents as it is for the players to hear. But every once in a while, I think we need to remember that too.
So Mario, you just read my mind. I'm taking notes. So I want you to give me 3 bullet points for parents, players, and coaches from what you just said, because I've got my why, what I should focus on, and resilience. So if I'm a player, what do I write under the bill of my cap for this weekend? And if I'm a parent or a coach, what are the 3 bullet points I take out of what you just said?
I love that. All right. So if I'm a player, gosh, there's so many things that you could put underneath. But again, most of these kids sometimes work too hard. Let's just play. Remind them to play. And you can even laugh at them after the ump says it because they're reminded of that before they start the game. Play ball. So you're hearing it from everybody, guys. And then I think from us as coaches, let's catch them doing something right to celebrate that, because when we do, then they become even more coachable and they're more willing to hear what it is we have to say when we've caught them doing something maybe wrong. So let's catch them doing something right. Let's give them something to work on. Because a lot of times at the age of 13, 14, they don't really understand what it's like to set a goal. So let's create the template for them. Listen, I just want to see you. Let me see how you turn the corner, and let me see if you can think one play ahead. Let me see how present you are on the bases. Because if we get into this particular situation, I want you to be thinking like me. I want to see if you're going to recognize the opportunity and steal that base. I want something so that you can remind them, I saw you working, I caught you at it. That's what I need from you. If you can build on that, man, you're going to have a kid who's going to be willing to just go through a wall for you. And I think that probably is as critical. You asked me for 3, Phil. I want to simplify it. Let's keep it at 2. We could eventually get 3, but remember, we're just getting back. So let's not overwhelm them, because chances are they're going to be trying so hard, and you're going to see how disappointed they are when they beat themselves up because they didn't get the stat they wanted. So if anything, the third one is let's pay attention for those signals. And when we see it, make sure, if not you, maybe one of your assistant coaches takes them aside. Say, hey, what did we tell you we wanted you to, we put on the inside of our brim today? What was the purpose of us showing up today? Our mission statement today, our motto is let's play ball. 5-6 weekends into the season, we'll change the motto to let's show them, or let's go kick somebody's ass. But for right now, let's dial it back a little bit.
I'm thinking, I want to know, Joe, I'm thinking, can we get the guys to know how many outs there are?
I don't know if we can get them to do that. We've been playing continuously for the last, 12 years or however long. We still tend to screw that up. So,
So
I don't know if that ever – mental mistakes are going to happen from time to time, so I don't know if that ever changes. But
yeah, and I guess to button what Phil had asked, at the end of the game, have the coaches get together and find the best lesson to discuss and share so that the game ends with a teachable moment. But we got to spin it so that it's something that they can be excited to work on. That becomes the challenge that we as coaches have to take on. And if we can learn how to do that and do that better, we're having a greater impact on these players. And I'll end it by saying there's two people that I interviewed recently for my podcast. One is a former heavyweight champion who almost got killed in the ring. And ironically, that injury, which left him in a coma, was what saved his life and renewed his purpose for living. And when I asked him, what would you do different if you had a chance to do it over again? He says, I wish my dad would have listened to me because I never wanted to be a boxer. It's fascinating. So there's a Netflix show called Losers. If you haven't watched it, you may want to look at it. It's a docuseries. He's the feature of the first episode. And it's powerful, it's raw, it's honest. And my conversation with him was an hour and a half. Most of the time I try and keep my podcast to 30 minutes. We just couldn't stop because we were talking about life. Now, the second takeaway was a young lady who is a world record holding skydiver. And she talked about fear. And she's been injured where she's also been hospitalized. And she, listen, you jump out of a perfectly good plane and then you hit the ground, you're going to think twice about wanting to jump out again. And the thing that she said, which was the not only the takeaway, but one of the life-changing moments for her in terms of this trajectory to wanting to be a great athlete, not just a good one, but a great one, was the fact that she had to learn how to love what she did more than fear the failure. Now that's profound. And I think if we can find a way of incorporating that in our philosophy, our teaching, and then implement that to our players, we're going to see a different level of performance out of our kids. And that's where I put the onus of responsibility on us as coaches to help them grow into their potential. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah. No, that was great. I think you made a lot of good points there, especially when we're going back to just simplifying our way back into the game right now.
Yeah.
We've been on a few trips, I guess, but it's our first tournament with teams. And then, we do have players, up and down our program between ages 8 to 18 on here. So, I think a lot of those ideas that you're putting out there right now, that's fundamental for everybody. It's not just geared towards one type of player, or even only baseball players. It's geared towards, everything, just getting back to normal.
So, yeah. And I listen, tell me when to shut up because you know me, I keep going. We don't have normal.
Yeah.
We haven't had normal in 3 months. And so the fact that we get to go out and do something we love to do, we may end up bringing so much of our raw personal baggage and emotions, especially parents and maybe even coaches, that we need to learn how to be able to filter that so that we can remember we're getting a chance to work with kids and play. It's so important at this age that they're still playing, because they're sacrificing something to want to be there. So we don't want it to be so intense that we ruin the moments. We'll build up to it.
Well,
But
Joe,
not-
I want to point out, guys, players and parents, if you go to the Zoom chat function, you can see on there right now the link to Mario's podcast, mariosoto.com/podcast, and to his website. And then Mario, help me out on social media. I've got you on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, and I don't know about Facebook.
They're all there. You can all find me under Mario Sports Doc or
Okay.
Mario Soto. Eventually they'll link. The two
Yeah.
are one and the same.
And then players, I'm going to encourage you to do that, but I think it's even more important for moms and dads. Now, mom and dad, Mario and I have known each other 15, maybe
Yeah,
20 years.
Since 06, I think. Yes.
Yeah. And I was a pro sports agent, and I've had him work with, in fact, he was the only sports psychologist I referred our players to. He's worked with my son, and I can't recommend enough that you go follow what he's doing on social media. I'm trying to get him to write a book, but I don't know if I'm going to have any success with that. In lieu of that, get Ken Reviz's book, Baseball. That's right. Heads Up Baseball, and there's 2.0, which is the revised part of it. Because this is a part of being, this is the benefit of being part of CBA and being a part of Southern California baseball culture. It's not like that everywhere.
Correct.
It's just not. It's not like that in the Midwest or Texas. And I travel to both of those a lot. And the same in the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida. I've spent a lot of time, lived there, traveled there a lot. Not the same. Now, the way you take advantage of that is in a minute, we're going to give you time to ask questions. Write down your questions. Ball players, write down your questions. Moms and dads, write down your questions. And go ahead and grab his podcast link, his website link, and you can go there and grab all the social media. Now, Mark, go ahead.
No, well, first I would say thank you for that, Phil. That's really the greatest thank you that you've ever given me, was trusting me to be with your son and work with your son.
Right.
No, that says everything, because as a parent, I understand our greatest treasure are our children. So that to me was validation of years and years of work and mentoring, from Ken. Number two, on my podcast, I have a conversation with Ethan Small, who was first round pick with the Milwaukee Brewers. So for our pitchers, that's a good listen. I've got one with Jack Little. I just haven't put it up yet. Jack got drafted with the Dodgers, played at Stanford. So that's one that I need to put up. I just felt so compelled with this conversation and chance meeting of this former heavyweight champion that kind of everything got put on hold. But there's like 17 on there. Pick the ones that you want to hear. You don't have to hear it in its entirety, but there's some really good stuff there. And the good news is it's free. Nowadays, there ain't a whole lot of free.
That's good stuff. So Mario, I mean, that's, we don't want to take up too much of your time. This is roughly an hour 15 workshop. And I just got off the phone with you like 2 hours ago. And so I really appreciate you carving into that, because I know, you have a busy schedule. And I appreciate you carving some time out.
You're very welcome. Well, you and Phil have direct lines to the bat phone. Everybody else, they got to go through you.
So,
And listen, I'd love to talk some more, believe it or not. But yeah, I actually have another Zoom call with. Um, this Zoom thing is crazy. It's supposed to make life easier. It's not. So I have a call with a gentleman who's a former UFC champion who's turned nutritionist. So I'll have some information on him shortly to be able to share with the group about becoming better, healthier athletes.
well, you're all, always more than welcome. I know we want to, do this specifically we want to do these workshops specifically geared towards mental skills and kind of building up our mindset to be competitors. But you're always more than welcome to join us on these Thursday workshops as well whenever you have time and just want to spread some nuggets of info.
You betcha. Joe, I got a question that somebody asked me to address. It says, in my own words, what does it mean to be an athlete? Who's Cannon? Unmute you, dude. Unmute yourself. How you doing, kid? What do you mean by that, to be an athlete? What do you think it means?
I think it means to put all your hard work and all your effort into the sport you love.
Okay. Do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you have a really bad day, like your worst day?
You keep working. You keep working to get better.
Good man. Good man. I love that. I like the word athlete because an athlete is a well-rounded player. An athlete allows their body to kind of heal and maybe go and develop itself in other ways by maybe playing a little football or playing a little soccer. Because an athlete, once they get to the age of 14, 15, now becomes an even more dangerous baseball player because their body is healthier and they can listen to their body a little bit more. So I think that's a really great question. I really, really do. Because if you understand what an athlete means or what it takes to be an athlete, you always listen to your body.
Okay.
As opposed to doing stuff that, might be injuring your shoulder or injuring your knee or injuring your elbow. Because when your body starts talking to you, if you dismiss it, especially if you're too young, you're going to end up with Tommy John surgery.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So learn to speak up for yourself because an athlete does.
Okay.
So your body's talking to you. Say, hey, coach. Hey, dad. Hey, mom. Something's not right. Because
Okay.
if you don't tell us, we can't guess. We don't have X-ray vision. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Good man. Good man.
Thank
That's a
you.
good question.
Awesome.
Well, Mario, we're going to let you go.
Great seeing everybody. Look forward to seeing you guys again. And if for anybody, if I could ever help, just reach out.
All right. Thanks, Mara. I appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Mario.
Also, before we get into the hitting aspect of this, there are some college coaches on here that they could be on here, but they can't speak on here. So if you're messaging them or you're asking them questions in the chat room, go ahead and leave. They can't say anything on here. It's just a violation right now for them to say anything right now. So I do want to introduce Brian for the guys that haven't been on here. Brian Billings has been running his 7-week workshop or 7-session workshop for us over the last 7 weeks. So this is basically the culmination of everything we've gone over the last 6 Thursdays, and we're just going to tie everything together. We do have some coaches I know, some guys I know that are very well known in the game. Phil's been around for since the dinosaurs, and he does a really great job in expressing his ideas and being able to answer any questions you may have. So feel free to speak up. All you guys are made panelists here, so you guys do have the ability to ask questions. One thing you don't want to do is be too shy or wonder if it's if it's a dumb question that you have. Chances are, there's probably 3 or 4 other people on here that have that same question that you want to share. They're just not able to speak up for whatever reason. And then I also have, is David here? I have a good friend, David Espinoza, one of the best pure hitters I've ever been around as a player, joining us from Florida, from Miami. And I'm not expecting him to say anything, but he's pretty opinionated, so he may chime in on his own. And then Coach Tim Bloom, thanks again for joining us. You're just a beautiful man. So, all right, Coach Brian, appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. First of all, wanted to just really mention that Mario Soto had some really good things to say. The thing that stuck out to me is just the idea of gratitude. We should all be very thankful to be able to get back into this game. I know me personally, I really look forward to these Thursdays because it's a little bit of normalcy, talking baseball with baseball people. I miss it. I miss baseball. And so these are obviously a lot of fun for me. But today, I'm going to share my screen here. So.
Are you able to share?
No, host disabled.
Okay, so I'll just make you the host.
While I'm waiting, I just wanted to comment on Carlos Ramirez's soul patch. It's looking really good. Is that blonde?
Can't see anything.
Yeah, it's looking good.
Oh, there he is. Big man.
Is that blonde? All right, you're good to go. You can share.
Okay, all right, there we go.
Hey, he's literally right here in front of me, by the way.
Is he? Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So today I wanted to review sequencing. So it's going to be a lot of the same slides from session 2 and session 3, but I wanted to kind of work through that with the goal of kind of coming to a culmination at the end to dispel some old school teaching points. So let's just roll right into it. So the kinetic link principle, and there's a lot to this, but it's important that you understand this principle, and it's the principle that body segments generate high endpoint velocity by accelerating and decelerating adjacent links using internal and external muscle torques applied to the body segments in a sequential manner from proximal to distal, which means from near to far, from massive to least massive, and from most fixed to most free. So just, all right, there's a lot there. I understand that, and some of you might not understand what that means. But essentially, we'll get right into it here. So this graphic right here, you can see that the pelvis starts everything. So what we want to do is we want to have back heel connection, and then that's going to allow us to really get that pelvis through and create the separation between our pelvis and our torso. One thing I want to key in on here is that the pelvis and hips start the kinetic chain, but then the torso, okay, so your rib cage, basically your midsection, your lead arm, okay, so this skeleton's left arm right here, and the hand are all rotating at the same speed at the beginning of the swing, okay, and then they decelerate in order. So the pelvis, the torso stops first, and then the lead arm, and then the lead hand, and that generates bat speed out front, okay? So they decelerate in order from near to far, torso first, lead arm, and then hand, okay? And I know that there's a lot there, but I just kind of wanted to go over that. And we went over this a few weeks ago, but I just kind of wanted to kind of roll through this a little bit. And then the goal is to get to, like I said, a sort of an end point here. But you can see here, we want to swing around a steel rod. So you see this guy on the right, he establishes his high pitch posture, okay, and then we're gonna swing around that rod and rotate around that, okay. This great visual of high pitch posture, we wanna be slightly bent at the waist. And then on the left, you can see Francisco Lindor, same thing, swinging around a steel rod there. Okay, here's another graphic, and this graphic right here, you can see this is a KBES, which is a measures sequencing essentially. Okay, and right here the pelvis starts everything, and then you'll see the torso, the lead arm, and the bottom hand will all be rotating together. Okay, so and then you'll see them decelerate in sequential order, because starting with the pelvis here. Okay, pelvis stops, chest stops, lead arm stops, and then lead hand stops, and then the wrists unhinge out front. Okay, and I know I'm going kind of fast here, but hopefully you guys are following with me, and we can get to a point where we talk about something. So again, we want to have barrel depth. We want the barrel to get on plane early, okay? The barrel should work underneath our back shoulder. And then proper barrel depth is a byproduct of a connected turn, okay? And connection is basically that idea of your torso, your lead arm, and your lead hand all rotating one piece, okay? So that's a connected swing. Okay, and then they're gonna unload out front essentially. The barrel will move away from the body slightly, producing an arc. Okay, and we'll see that here, where the barrel moves this way, and the barrel will get on plane deep in the zone. Okay, and then that will produce hopefully proper wrist timing. Okay, so when you say somebody is in sequence, okay, what that means is that the wrist is unhinging out front, okay? And that is the last link to the kinetic chain. And it's also why, if we're sequencing correctly, okay, we're gonna see our highest exit velos and our furthest batted balls to our pull side, okay? And the reason for that is that last little piece of the kinetic chain. When our wrists unhinge out front, okay, that's gonna really create a lot of power, okay? So you should maintain lag in the wrist at the beginning of the torso rotation, and the wrist will unhinge and accelerate the barrel through contact. We wanna snap the wrist, we don't wanna roll the wrist, okay? So it's like you're casting a fishing rod. It's not this action, it's that action, all right? So we wanna snap the wrist. And this is a key point that I want to really emphasize today, is proper loading / timing of the wrist will allow for the maximum energy transfer from the body to the bat, okay? So if we unhinge our wrists early in our swing, where our wrists are moving this way away from our body, okay, we're losing that last piece of the kinetic chain early, okay? And we're gonna create a really long swing, and I'll kind of get into that here in a second. But you can see here, this is Posey, I think, and Trout on the right. You can see how their wrists are unhinging out front, and both of these balls, they're hitting the ball slightly after their wrists unhinge, or during the unhinging process, which creates good pull side power. Okay, we can see that with both of these hitters. All right, so now that we've talked about sequencing, I want to talk about some swing flaws. And this particular hitter, you'll see what happens in his swing is his wrist will unhinge away from his body this way, okay? And he's dumping the barrel away from his body, and so and that's creating an unadjustable groove swing with no power, okay? It causes your swing to be super torso dominant, and like I said earlier, we're using the last link in the chain too early. Okay, so I'm gonna play this video for you, and let's see. Yeah, the volume's up. So I want you guys to listen to this video, and then we'll talk about it here.
Work on a little extension out here today, big dog style. Let's get it. On it, on it, on it. Push, push, push. Good. Keep those arms. Hey, keep those arms bent. Pull us a little deeper. Boom, push, push, push. Hey, hands back. On it. Push, 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 push. There you go. Again, stay in that back hip. Boom, push, push, push. There you go. On it. Push, push, push. Good, bulldog. Again. Slow back.
All right.
Finish, finish, finish. Okay.
So we've all either taught this or been taught this at some point, right? In the last 5 to 10 years. Okay, and I think it's a bad teach, and this is my opinion, but I think this teach creates swings that are really front foot heavy, where they're not using their lower half and they're pushing the bat. They're not swinging the bat. Okay, so so we want to keep, so the old school teach is to keep your barrel. The old school teach is to keep your barrel moving linearly through the ball. Okay, and my hitting coach in college, he would say, all right, we're going to go to contact, and then we're going to extension, 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 right? That was the teach. And I think that leads to hitters that get off their back heel early because they're so focused on extension, okay? And I think it can lead to a lot of bad mechanics. To me, the extension, what it means is the proper sequencing of the wrists out front, okay? To me, that's what extension should mean. So if we're unhinging our wrists out front, then that means that we have extension, if that makes any sense. So I'd like to kind of open up to the group on that point, and I'm going to stop sharing here real quick. But just curious about thoughts on that. You know, if there's any questions, Phil, if you have anything to talk about as far as that goes.
Let's see what we have from the coaches and from some of the players and parents. It's good stuff.
And just to kind of simplify a little bit, with the guys there's a couple hitters that I work with here, and I know Andrew works with a lot of our guys as well, and I see him probably hanging out on his porch or something right now. There's certain verbiage we like to use, right? And there's a big one I use a lot with our hitters, and it's connection, right? Mm-hmm. So and basically it's all the verbiage that I have, and all the, you know, what I teach as a hitting instructor is just, and it's just built off the kinetic chain. So basically everything we've talked about, like the first few slides, was just basically us building a framework on how to use our body the best way we can to produce maximum power with the strength that we have, and to be as consistent as possible, you know, in making that hard contact. So obviously everybody's going to have a different outcome as far as how hard the ball's hit and how far it's hit and all that. It's all based on your body and your athletic ability and strength and all that. But the being able to be efficient and sequence correctly, and you know, not get disconnected at any point. So the example I like to use is if, when you know, my computer right now is in front of me, but it's plugged in over there somewhere, you know, there's something, you know, at contact you could feel, you know, a lack of power, not necessarily with what you're doing with your hands or with the barrel at contact, but, you know, through that chain, right? There's a disconnect somewhere, whether it be in how you use your legs or how you're sequencing anywhere between, you know, back foot on the ground to your top hand. There's so many different things right there that if you don't sequence correctly, right, then the disconnection takes place, and yeah, you make contact, but it's not really going anywhere. So the importance of sequencing right, and the right movements at the right time, that's what creates that, the power when you do hit the ball, and the consistency to make that hard contact. So.
Yeah, I think the whole point of me talking about these things, I think, is, you know, I used to talk about extension, extension, extension. but I think the proper extension is the byproduct of a connected turn. So if we have good swing depth, in other words, if our barrel is getting on plane early, then the unhinging of the wrists out front is a byproduct of that. So my argument would be, don't focus on extension as much. Instead, focus on barrel depth, focus on connection. Okay. And if you're able to have those things, then I think your wrists are going to unhinge the correct way out front, and extension will be a byproduct of doing the other things properly, if that makes any sense.
And generally, you don't necessarily want to make contact at extension anyway. You want extension to happen after contact, not right, maybe right after contact, not way after contact, right? Because you don't want to get beat deep, but you do want to, stay in that back hip, as and to promote, that barrel depth, because as soon as you get to that front side, that barrel depth goes out the window and you get a little bit more choppy, right? It's a bit more steep. So yeah, your time to contact is really great, but being on plane isn't exactly consistent. So hi, Phil.
Joe, Brian, Coach, we have a question from
I saw
Cannon. It says, are we supposed to stay on our back leg on a swing or stay even? So Cannon, what Coach has talked and taught over the last month is that we sink into our back heel, or the heel on our back foot, right foot for right-handed hitter, left foot for left-handed hitter. As we initiate the swing, we plant our strength firmly on the back foot, back heel, and then we drive through the ball. So when you hear the phrase sink into your heel, that's mostly the answer to the question that you're talking about. Are we supposed to stay in our back leg on a swing? We start and we don't get out in front. I'm a right-handed hitter, so I don't get out in front too early, but we practice sinking, and we do a bat speed training thing in the LA workouts in Glendale and out in the San Fernando Valley, where we literally practice getting into our back heel before we initiate the swing. And that's a great practice with your tee work, with your soft toss work, because then you build off of it then. Brian, Joe, you guys have anything to add to that?
I'd like to, first, thanks, Phil, but I'd like to also introduce one of my friends. I introduced him earlier, but, again, one of the better hitters I've been around professionally. He's with, he's an international cross-checker with the Cincinnati Reds now. He's out in Miami. It looks like he's playing Fortnite with his headphones, but but he's I learned a lot from him as a hitter, just as his peer and his roommate on the road sometimes. But just picking the brain of guys that's been around the game. He's around the game as a professional a lot longer than I was before I even got there. So David Espinoza, really thanks again. I know I called you about 3 or 4 hours ago to see if you had any availability too. So thanks for getting on here. How you doing?
Good. Brian, really love the stuff you're talking about, man. I understand it totally. I am 100% on board with what you're saying. I think in baseball, especially when we're talking hitting, when everything is sequenced, obviously everything works, but the amazing thing about talking hitting, or I'm assuming pitching's the same way, sometimes the things that you say or the terms you say, they're probably said a different way. Like, for instance, like for me, you talked about that back heel, like sitting on your back heel or feeling your back heel. Like for me, it was like, I just got to feel my leg and I got to ride that back side. But it's like the same thing. You know what I mean? That's what's amazing about talking to different guys, because you also can learn terminology, because sometimes certain words may not click with every hitter. Every hitter has their own cues, so I don't know. I just thought it was awesome what you just said, because there weren't exactly like the words you used weren't my cues, but I knew exactly what you're talking about because my words were a little different. But yeah, I mean, staying tight, staying connected. People could say it different ways. Like I learned to stay connected when I started getting hitting lessons. You know how they taught me how to stay connected, and I'm sure a lot of people did this. When they're learning the mechanics of hitting. The guy who started giving me lessons, he put me next to a fence. He put the bat, right in my belly button. He's like, "Hey, you see this? You need to swing and not hit the fence." And the only way you could do that is if you have a connected swing, But man, I just wanted to let you know that I love what you were saying, man. It's and it's amazing because when I was in AAA, I kind of butted heads with the manager and the hitting coach because they were old school. They were like, "Get on your front side." It's like I will have no power if I get on my front side because I'm not big. I don't weigh 230 pounds. I'm 175 pounds. I need to ride my backside. I need to hit against my front side. If I'm not hitting against the front side, and Joe mentioned it earlier, if there's something that's off, you just feel it. It's like, oh, you just lose it. You lose it. You lose all power. I needed to be perfectly sequenced to hit for any authority. If not, I'm just not very strong. So I need everything going right to impact the baseball.
Yeah.
So I just want to let you know, I love
To
what
me,
you said.
yeah, your swing could look really good too. Like if you look aesthetically, you could look at a guy swinging the bat and it's not going very far. The ball's not going very far, and that's because there isn't the correct sequence. But it still looks good. Sometimes it looks good, and like guys take good swings in the game and they just miss a pitch, or they're missing pitches consistently, and the swing looks good, but there's something not quite right, when you see what the results are, right? So
yeah, there's something in the sequence that was off, but that's why hitting's really hard.
I think another good way, thanks for your comments, David. I think another good way to work on connection is golf, honestly. You got to be connected in golf. And if you're not, you're gonna hook or slice the ball every time. So get out there and play some golf because you're allowed to anyway. But I also wanted to go back to Cannon's question. So at contact, okay, so when we make contact, we're going to have no weight on our back foot, very little or no weight. So we don't want to hang back on our back leg, but during the pre-pitch move, we want to load our back hip or load our back heel during the pre-pitch move. And then when we swing, we want to stay behind, we want to hit behind our front leg. And then our back foot is probably going to be, weightless at contact, just to answer your question a little bit more in case you were curious.
how come Cannon, like one of the youngest guys on here, is the only one ever asking questions? And
Right?
actually, it's in real
And they're
life.
good questions too. That's good stuff. Way to go, Cannon. Give me some knucks there, man. Good stuff.
So instead of thinking about extension, start thinking more about developing barrel depth and getting your barrel on plane early and having your wrist unhinge out front. And this is one of my hitters. He's going into his junior year. I want everybody to kind of look at his swing, and then we can open it up to discussion here. I'll show you each one of it's just 3 different videos, one swing each. He's in Arizona right now, so it's like 115 degrees out there. So hence the shirt off and the man bun. All right, so what do we see? What do you guys see with this swing? Coaches, players.
I'm gonna need to see that one again.
It was a little laggy for me.
Yeah, it's a little laggy. That's all.
I mean, to me, from just looking at it's a little laggy, but I'm looking at his shoulders. His shoulders are working like this.
Yeah, that's the
His
point.
shoulders need to kind of work under each other, not collapsing, but the back shoulder needs to Yeah.
underneath. Yeah.
It's like he's going to be around the ball. He's not going to, I don't know. But that's
Yeah,
what I
the
know.
Where's the tee set up
The
at?
other thing, the thing that sorry, go ahead, Tim.
Where's the tee set up at?
Looks like it's kind of middle, doesn't it? Or a little bit deeper.
Can you share
It just seems to me that he's coming around the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
that again?
It seems to me that he's coming around the baseball.
No, I'm sorry. Can you screen share that again? Can you share that again, Tim?
Right?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think I agree with Tim. He's definitely, and I agree with David too. I think he's definitely a little bit shoulder dominant here and rotating around the ball.
Well, that also
So,
looks like the pitch up, right? Is that pitch up or is it?
looks yeah, it looks about like thigh high, upper thigh, a little below the waist, so not too far up. The point, what I see with him, and I think David and Tim are right on that. But what I see is he's not stopping his torso. His torso just keeps rotating around, right? So if he stops his torso and keeps his chest on the ball, okay, then that's going to allow the barrel to work through the baseball instead of around the baseball. Okay, so let's watch it again here. It's the same thing that Tim was saying, same thing that David was saying, but because his back shoulder or his front shoulder pulls off and his shoulders pull around, you can see his chest is almost pointed towards third.
Yeah.
So if he could stop his chest earlier, it's going to allow his barrel to work through a little bit better, I think, and sequence better out front. And the wrist will unhinge out front instead of right here and just kind of spin off the baseball.
Yeah, you can't get any bat lag or anything either. It's just kind of like, it's just, you know.
Say again, David?
Physically rotation.
To me, you can't. I feel like you can't. You know, you can't really get on a plane. But also, when you can't get on a plane, like you don't have like the ability to create bat speed. Because to me, it looks like you can't create much bat lag either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. Cool. All right. So another hitter, another one of my hitters. This is Brad Altamari. He's in Bend right here. So but to me, this kid, he does a lot of things right. He's got a good setup. He's got slow feet, and he's got, to me, his bat plane is pretty good. He's working underneath the back shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you guys can see. Is it choppy?
It's a little bit. It's a little bit, but this kid's got a good back. I like
Yeah,
this
he's
kid's
got.
play.
I mean, if he was 30, 40 pounds heavier, he probably wouldn't be playing for me. He'd probably be somewhere. But this kid can swing it. He's 155 pounds soaking wet, but he can hit. And the thing that he does is when you watch him turn, you'll see a real connected turn. See that position, the long lever of that lead arm right here. Okay, the barrel's in a hybrid position. So you'll see the barrel, the lead arm, and the torso all rotating together. See that right there? So that it has good barrel depth, and the wrist is going to unhinge out front through the baseball, and that's the proper sequence right there. And notice again, notice the unweighted back foot right here. See how that energy is transferred into that firm front side?
So going back to the last hitter, part of the reason I think that maybe he was kind of getting rotational and coming around the ball too early was where the tee was set up at, as far as it was kind of middle up, but the way he like at like when he took his stride after his load, he didn't have enough space to kind of get his hands moving the right direction the way he wanted to. So the only way he can get the barrel there was just by spinning off and rotating and creating that space. So, and when you see this guy, the ball, and what's his kid's name? I forgot. You said it already.
Brad?
Yeah, so when you see Brad, the tee's out front just a little bit more so he can create that space to let that chain work for him,
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of the – and
So,
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, Joe, but if the swing's connected,
Mhm.
even though the ball's deep, I mean, he'll just hit it the other way, To me, it's like, yeah, it's probably a little deep and it's a little up, and he just kind of panics and spins, It's like, you shouldn't be panicking. Your ball's on the tee. You got to be training yourself to stay on it. Because in the game, I mean, you're not going to have perfect timing, hitting the ball right where you want. You got to get out playing early, and you just got to stay on the ball. It could be middle in. Hey, if he tries to turn, he's going to get jammed.
Yeah.
If you get the shoulders to work under each other, you're going to be able to work inside the ball a lot better. Like I've gotten pitches in that I've hit out off the wall to right center from the right side, just because you just don't panic. You just stay tight, stay in the ball, and the key is you got to get your shoulders working like this. At least for me, that was always my cue. Like for me to stay inside the ball well, obviously stay connected, but my shoulders had to work correctly. But that's just like mine and a few. I never thought of sequencing or I didn't. Now when he explains it that way, it's like I totally get it, because that's so. I'm thinking about how I felt. It's like that's exactly how Mr. Billings said this one works. That's exactly what I felt. I just never thought about it that way.
So David, you'd like to see his back shoulder underneath the front shoulder a little bit more on this?
Slightly, but I mean that's just again, this is the way that's just the way I feel like the swing works.
Yeah, that's what Brad has. He gets that.
Yeah.
I think Brad has a little bit better posture though. I think Nolan's a little too upright with his posture. If he could get a little bit more forward bend there, I think that would help him. But
I love this stuff, man. I love the stuff you just said. It's amazing. Like I wasn't taught that way, like the sequencing, and it's like somehow I just did it. We're like a long time of learn how to do this. Like when I was taught how to hit, they just kind of you got to do this with your legs, and okay, well you put your bat like this, and you load, and to have a short swing, like hey, you gotta stay tight. You can't hit the fence. Don't hit the fence. And I just over the years, you just kind of develop the swing, and sometimes you just do it, and then and after the fact, you're like, wow, look at all these things like that you just talked about. Like I did that, but I taught that way. But I was like, man, I kind of wish I was taught that way, so I find my swing would have evolved quicker.
mm-hmm.
My swing got better. Even I played in affiliated ball for a long time, and I changed my swing slightly around 23, 24, and it was too late at that point. I was already playing indie ball. But I was like, man, there's so many things I just learned so late. Why couldn't anybody in AAA or AA or high A teach me? They didn't really teach me anything. Honestly, there were just simple things I could have fixed to, that would have helped me become a more productive player. Yeah.
And Bills, I think, the posture right there with that first guy fixes, if we can correct his posture at launch, that'll fix a lot.
Get him working a little bit more underneath. Yeah.
Right. So because he is very, very tall there. He seems like he looks like a taller guy too.
Not really. He's like 5'11".
I mean, not as tall as me.
Taller than you.
That's huge.
Ryan, I want to ask you a question because I've been in pro scouting for a long time, and sometimes, the last few years of the Marlins, we had these drop downs for red flags. Do you think an arm bar is a red flag? Because you mentioned how
I think it's important. I think you need to have a long lever in that lead arm.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think that it shouldn't be locked out completely. It should have a slight bend in it, but it shouldn't be like this. You know what I mean?
No, yeah.
But that idea of like you're barring your lead arm, I think that's a antiquated, teach, honestly. And I think when you look at big leaguers, all the great ones bar off that lead arm. So, and it's essential to transfer all that energy from your torso into that lead arm and then into your hand out front. In my opinion.
Yeah, no, because I've run into hitters. I'm like, man, he kind of arm bars, but then he still gets the head out. Obviously, because he probably sequences really well. I think it gets kind of magnified when you have that arm bar and you're not sequenced. So it's like, oh wow, that's like long. That guy has no chance to hit the ball in. Like, yeah, like you see that. But I've also, like for instance, there's a player, his name is Nick Solak. The guy always hits, and Gary Dembo, he came over from the Yankees. This kid was a Yankee, and he was out on him. Oh, he has an arm bar. He ain't gonna hit. And I've always kind of liked Nick. I was like, man, that kid just hits. I thought the same thing. He got an arm bar, but man, he gets his hands through. He gets to the ball in. I guess he thought that, arm bar, he can't hit the ball in. Well, he's in the big leagues, and he hit 300 this year. So, like, he probably sequences really well, like you said,
Well, David, think of it this way. Cole Calhoun and Solak are very similar. They're short-armed hitters.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not as demonstrative as it is with a bigger, long-arm guy.
Exactly.
But what you said, Nick and Calhoun, Nick can hit, man. He could hit at Louisville. It didn't care what position he played.
Yeah.
He's hitting the minors no matter where they put him. But that shows you everybody's different. But at the same time, that as you say, that might be an old-fashioned idea to really let go of, depending on. And a short-arm guy, it does not stand out. You watch Cole Calhoun, you don't think right away arm bar. You see a bigger guy with longer arms, and occasionally that stands out, and you think, man, that's a problem. We got to fix that. But that's something today that maybe we don't. There's Goldschmidt.
So this lever to me is a little too barred off because he's going to have a tough time adjusting to something at the top of the zone. So something that has a little bit of life. If he could, because what you want to do is you want to pull the hands up, right? You don't want to lose that spine angle. So you want to pull your hands up and bend that lead arm to get there. So that's why I think a little bit of bend, like when you watch this hitter, a little bit of bend in that lead arm will allow for a little bit of adjustability.
Mm-hmm.
That example, because that's locked out. But
the kid that you showed, he does that well. He can really manipulate the bat better because, like you said, he could bend that front arm.
Yeah.
That ball.
But Brian, on that picture of Goldschmidt, there was a pitch down the middle, just above belt high, that he was coming out of his shoes on.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that is not a clinic. That is, I'm going to knock this thing flat.
It's probably a 2-0 count right there. Okay,
question for you, Coach Billings. Does that help with early connection?
Armbar?
Yeah, slide armbar.
I think, because I mean, it would make sense that if I'm rotating one piece like this, as opposed to like this, I would think that it would unhinge differently out front. You know what I mean?
Well,
right.
Tim, let me ask that same question a different way. Brian, does it help with the slide arm bar to get on plane earlier?
Yeah,
I think so. As long as it's part of the turn, right? As long as we're not or unhinging the wrist early to try to get the barrel underneath our back shoulder, as long as it's part of that turn, I think we're going to be in good shape.
Thank you.
All right, I want to shift gears if that's okay. I'm going to show you guys 4 short videos. Joe, I just saw you roll your eyes, but we got 4 videos coming at you, and we're gonna discuss them. The first one's the longest video, but these 4 videos all have a theme. So I want to see if you guys can pick up on it, and then hopefully we can talk about it.
The Pirates, that's Jose Bautista's old team. Well, one of 5 he played on at the start of his career. back when he was simply a serviceable big leaguer hitting a ho-hum 16 home runs a year. Then he landed in Toronto, made a change that launched him from no name to superstar, and a guy that is now, as the Washington Post put it, putting up Babe Ruth numbers circa 1927. So what did the AL Player of the Month and leading All-Star vote getter do exactly? He explains it himself in this ESPN feature.
Bautista and a strikeout. Got him. Strike three called on Bautista. And he
And
gets
then he
Bautista
throws
for
to-
the second time.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
Bill freeze again?
it's frozen.
Bills likes to freeze every now and then.
He's not moving an inch.
Yeah, it's still like on the.
Bills gets frozen sometimes.
I'd like to see this. I played against Batista in the minor leagues, man.
Yeah. He was okay.
He had juice though, but the swing was not the same in the big leagues. He totally revamped.
Okay, I will say, let me see here. I don't even know if I can get to it because Bills became the host and now he's frozen, so I need him to unhost himself. But I put together basically let me see. Am I the host now? I might be. Oh, sweet. I am the host. Yeah. Bills cuts out on us once a week. He has Comcast, so apparently nobody get Comcast. So I put together basically it's a poll. It's not really a poll though. I just want to kind of see what you guys, everybody here wants to see us kind of get on here and discuss. So I'm going to put that out right now. You guys can all basically just click on anything you guys want to do there. I don't know if that shows up on your guys' end. Does the poll show up on your end?
Yeah, but is that for right now or like next time?
No, it's if you guys want to click on it right now, it'll be for the in the future what we can discuss and talk.
Oh yeah.
For the future. Just I mean, and be serious about it for the guys that are participating in this. This is something we want to take home and discuss and figure out how we can make these better for you guys. This is something we're doing once a week right now, but like we talked about with Mario Soto earlier, who's a pretty prominent mental skills coach in professional sports, but we're going to do mental skills workshops with him going forward as well, and be able to provide those for guys in our program. And then guests like David, appreciate you being here. Just to kind of throw in your 2 cents. You have a lot of knowledge you could bring to the game, pass it on to, we have young players that are just trying to figure it out. And so it really helps us when you guys are able to take the time. And, for the coaches, I know Danny's in here. I see Carlos, and he's in my room actually. Coach Carlos, who owns our, can't say that, can I? Who's
Edit that out.
He's an assistant at Hawaii Pacific. So we literally have coaches from all over the country chiming in here. Coach Brian is from Oregon. Coach David Espinoza is from Miami area, and then we have Coach Tim and Coach Danny from Southern California. And Phil, is Phil still here? Or does he
He's
have
there.
a Okay. And just all this stuff is super valuable information. If you guys stay for the entirety, obviously, we know you guys have busy lives, players and parents. If you guys are on here, we know you have busy lives. You have stuff to get to, family dinners and whatnot at this time. But yeah, it's for your own benefit. The guys that use Blast Motion, a lot of the terminology on here, and a lot of, because Pacific University is a Blast Motion baseball program. A lot of that terminology and a lot of the drills and the stuff that we go over here on a weekly basis is going to help you directly with what you use with Blast Motion. So feel free to take that stuff home, apply it to your workload. You guys got anything, any coaches, players, parents have anything to say? We're kind of getting to that time here where we've got to kind of end it with the Q&A. I want you guys to be able to speak your minds if you have any questions or comments or anything like that. I saw you guys in the chat bar earlier. But now's a good time. Oh, and John Bruman's pissed that I didn't include him in here. I didn't know who JB was. I wish he would have put his full name. Coach John, thanks for joining us.
No, he's out. Oh no, there he is. He's there.
join us from Nogales, Mexico, right now. JB, your mic's working. You could say something.
No, I'm enjoying listening. This is great information. I'm glad that we're offering this, and I'm glad that the players were engaged, in Cannon Schiller especially. Shout out to you for not being timid to and afraid to ask, man. I mean, you can only get better by asking questions, and that goes for us as coaches as well. So, Billings, I appreciate what you do, and obviously, Phil, your wealth of knowledge.
Awesome. So, but yeah, so the coaches that are on here, we would like to get the CBA players on board with this, just so we can all be on the same page when we're teaching stuff and they have a better understanding of what hitting really is. It's not necessarily going into the cage and taking 100 swings every day, but just kind of understanding what they want to do with their bodies and fine-tuning an approach when they're in the cage or hitting off the tee. And then, eventually that will translate into the game. So anybody else got anything?
It's real good stuff, man. I love it.
Did you get that?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. This is
Joe,
awesome.
can you
I
hear me?
love it.
Joe, can you hear me?
Yeah.
This is Danny.
What's up, Danny?
Hey, tomorrow I have a meeting with the Blast representative, because I haven't really got connected with them yet, but I want to do that, and I'm going to have a meeting with them tomorrow to get a package or something. So anything that you recommend?
Not really. I mean, really, we have the sensors in stock for your guys ready to go. So whenever you guys are ready, so I wouldn't purchase anything from them.
Okay.
I wouldn't purchase anything. I'll either bring them to you or send them to you, whatever you need. So, but he's
Okay.
I talked to him today too, and he's talked with a lot of our guys. He talked with Carlos, talked with Matos up in Vegas, and the guys out in Florida, and it's just about getting everybody on the same page within the
Right.
offer the best remote hitting training that we possibly can. So.
Okay. Perfect. Appreciate it.
I'm back.
Too late. We gotta go.
Come on, man. Let me show these videos.
Jesus.
Come on. It's worth it. Trust me.
You gotta pay your bill. All right, hold on. Let me make you really fast. I know you've been waiting all week. Okay, hold on.
This is good. This is good stuff. This is like one of the most important points that I've brought up in the last 7 weeks, I think. So I really want to emphasize this. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
Wrong one. Damn it, Joe.
Scuba Steve. I will say too, also Danny. So like Coach Brian here, he's actually one of the guys that heads up the training on that with the Blast Motion app. So he's helping us with that, and then we'll get into discussions about that stuff when we get back on these workshops. So.
All right. So we're gonna go right into this video, and I'll just fast forward it.
Okay. Discuss that racism address to the team.
Pirates. So by the time and the way I went up to the plate, because I used to get started so late, that the only way that I could try to be on time sometimes was to be quick. So this was my speed. So by the time I tried to come around, the ball was already on top of the plate and everything was so late. So and I had heard it a million times. Start slower and early, but to me that didn't make a lot of sense until we watched video. We got a mirror, they showed me.
You remember the first time that you applied those trainings in a game?
It was a day game against the Twins here at home, and I felt like my hands just flew through the zone, and I hit a home run to left field. And that's when I felt the click, and I was like, this is how it should feel. Now I completely understand what they're trying to tell me, and I just have to keep working on trying to make it happen.
Goodbye home run, his 30th. And there goes number 40. There it is, number
lot of skeptics out there. One of the big reasons. How does he go to 54 home runs? Is he say in the past?
Major League Baseball has implemented the news program before I even got to the big leagues in 2003. So that's something I don't worry about because I know the type of person I am, how I accomplish things. I've always been a hard worker. I never have anything just handed to me, and I wouldn't expect that to be the case. You know what? I've always had the talent. What I liked was the opportunity, and what I liked was the proper instruction that would guide me to have a good approach.
See, coming out. Bautista's hit another one up and gone.
So that's the first one. There's 3 more. The rest of them are really short. So.
And everything. So that's your stance, and I consider the load to be anything between your stance and your swing. So basically, that's my load. So the timing of it was what I felt was off, but I didn't really know how to fix it. And to the suggestion of Cito Gaston and Dwayne Murphy and Gene Tennis, who were our hitting coaches and managers at that time, they suggested that I started my load earlier during the pitcher's delivery.
Well, you were talking about your load with Pittsburgh. Let's do that. Is that when I started to get to here, you would then load? It was too
Even
late?
later.
All right, so even later. So I would let the ball go, and then you would do what? So you'd rush it.
Yes.
Okay, so now the pitchers do, here's the timing. Let's just see your timing with the pitcher. So you're starting earlier.
Way earlier.
Way earlier. So now how do you not?
And obviously it took me a year to kind of feel good about it and implement it during the game. All right, so the first thing.
All right, so 2 more. Bear with me. This one has no volume.
Got a lot of time to see the ball.
Yeah, right?
Even though .19 is just the average for baseball, that's a lot of time.
Sorry.
Okay, last one, guys. Now, we're talking about timing, right? So key in on the timing of this video here. It also, this is Coach Corbin from Vanderbilt talking about, whoops.
Hey, buddy, I'm on a call.
His elite recognition and decision-making skills.
Talking about Austin, I think he was the 6th overall pick.
System to hitting more than anything
Best
else.
player in the draft.
You're going to see an 0 take and then followed by another 0 take and an 0-2 take. But
Yeah, he does. He gets ready early.
simplicity
Soft
and
take.
his ability to control the adrenaline in his body so that he can keep his front side in and see the ball for a long period of time. And I think for young hitters, when you look at a guy like Austin, he tracks the ball all the way back to the back side of the plate. So there's tracking mechanism to him. But his body language also shows you that he's on go every time, but yet he can stop himself.
Hey, girl, nice.
Comp him to another first-round hitter and Anthony Rendon. So they've got similar. Just the fact that they really get the belly button because he his eyes closer to the zone so he can see the ball. So that's so important. Good hitters have.
All right. So with considering those 4 videos, what are some thoughts that come to mind?
Timing.
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 It's everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing, and it varies. Obviously, it's individual. It's person to player.
Yeah, I think
Trout could wait. He's quick. He's strong. Some guys like Jose Bautista, he had to start earlier.
Well, Trout, I don't know if you noticed, but Trout and Bautista, they started at the same time. So when the pitcher separated down here, and that's when their legs were up. And that's super early compared to what most people teach,
I think there's a difference too, because you're seeing guys in the big leagues, they're low to mid 90 even in obviously high 90s for a lot of guys. But you can't you can always start early and react if you're out front, but you can't start. You can't see the ball too
Right.
and try to react late. You're not going to cause any damage. So.
Yeah, I think the slow and early pre-pitch move, especially if it's a two-piece move, gives the hitter the advantage to everything else kind of falls in place. I think, all the other stuff that we're talking about, connected turn, getting the barrel on plane early, if you're on time, it makes up for a lot of other flaws that you might have in your swing. Compared to if you're late, most hitters are late, and if we're fast and late with our feet, our mechanics are just going to go to heck. They're just going to fall apart. As well as our plate discipline. I mean, you look at the video with Austin Martin. Those were active takes, right? He's fighting to not swing, and those active takes or those late shutdowns, those late decisions become a lot easier when we get started early with slow and early feet. We're able to see the pitches better and just put ourselves in a better position to hit a mistake, to punish a mistake. So I think it's one of the most important things that a young hitter can take from any of these Zooms that we've done is just the idea of slow and early feet, get started early, and loading into that, gather into that back heel, and I think it's a game changer. I don't know. What do you think, Phil? David?
Yeah, you got to get ready early. I think what happens, and I think why a lot of people will get ready kind of late, because they're thinking, oh, let the ball travel. But let the ball travel does not mean get ready late.
No.
You got to be ready on time. You can't. You want to hit the ball slightly out front. That's where the maximum bat speed is. It's not way back here. You start creating bat speed back here, but you want to try to catch it, out front.
Yeah. I would, yeah, absolutely. It's good stuff. Phil, what do you got?
I've got It's About Dinner Time in Los Angeles, California. That's what I got for
you. Yeah, I gotta get going here.
All right.
I love this stuff. Joe, are these weekly?
They'll continue to be, yeah.
Cool. Well, I gotta get to bed because my wife's gonna be induced tomorrow for a second child at 6 a.m.
Congrats.
Oh, congrats.
Thanks.
Got 3 kids now.
I love this, Joe. I love talking baseball. I can't do any work right now, which is fine by me because I get to be with my family. But anytime I can talk baseball with other baseball rats, which is what we are, I'm all in. If I'm not doing anything. So keep me posted. If I can, I'll get on next week. We should continue these hitting talks. I could. There's more than one way to skin a cat, obviously. That's why, I mentioned how there's different terminology, but at the end of the day, the good swings, they're connected. They do all the things you said.
All right. Well, thanks again, guys. Thanks, David. Thanks, Coach Phil. That's funny. Tim. We'll try to get D-Nick on here one day.
Oh my God, that'd be great.
Try to get D-Nick on here. He's got some good stuff to say. Everybody else, I want to, again, I appreciate the coach's time. I know you guys can volunteer it. It's really good stuff. I really appreciate it because I'm running along with a lot of these guys on here. So we just got to continue to offer this type of stuff and we can be responsible so that the players will be as well. All right, everybody. Hope you all have a great weekend. David, congratulations. Bill, I'm gonna go up there and upgrade your Wi-Fi myself. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Father's Day.
Players, please take the time to wish Happy Father's Day to your father as well on behalf of us at CBA, and David. All right.
Take care.
Next week. Take care.
See ya.
Coaches.
Talk to you.